So as you know, we are now in week 6, day 5. That's right, only 2 more days left. I want to share with you a story. As a matter of fact, it's an important story. So important that it's in the first book of the Bible. You can find this story that I'm about to read you in Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. Now, I want you to stand still for a moment. I want to read this to you. But I'm going to tell you now, if right now is not a good time for you, then pause, wait. But if you are willing to provide your undivided attention, I want to open your eyes to something. I want to read this story to you. And then I want to cover a couple of things. So come on with me. We're going to Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. And now I'm going to read. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God actually say, 'You shall not eat of any tree in the garden?' And the woman said to the serpent, 'We may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but God said, You shall not eat the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die.' But the serpent said to the woman, 'You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.' So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to her eyes," talking about those gates, remember? Our gates are our eyes and our ears. Eve's gates were wide open to be deceived, to be tempted. Let's read a little bit more and let's see what she did. She took the fruit and she ate, and she also gave to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both Adam and Eve were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loincloths. Let's go back to one of these verses that stood out to me. First of all, the serpent is one of the most crafty than any of the other beasts. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, he says to the woman, he challenges what God tells Eve. He said, if you eat it, you won't die. You will, for God knows if you eat it and your eyes are open, you will be like God, knowing good and evil. First of all, the serpent is tempting Eve, and really not only just tempting her, but challenging what she knows. The Father had already said, God himself said, hey, listen, you can have anything except this one thing. Sometimes our minds, our hearts, our eyes can be fixated on what we can't have. I'm pretty sure Adam and Eve may have went to bed a few nights wondering, why did God say I couldn't? Why we can't do that? I think most of us can, if we're all honest, we've had moments where we question God's authority. That's normal, especially in when you're walking with him. I mean, we are his children, and our parents growing up, as we were children to our parents as adults now, but when we were children, our parents would give us specific rules to follow. And sometimes it didn't make any sense to us, but our parents knew best. See, God the Father knew best. I'll give you a really quick example. I remember growing up and going swimming, and my parents would not allow us to go into the deep side of the pool. They say you can do the 3 feet, you can do the jacuzzi, you can even get down to 5, but we will not allow you. You cannot swim in any other part of the pool. I think the deception and the temptation comes from looking at what we can't have. We need to be mindful that when we remove one thing, when we remove that temptation, we replace it with what's been given to us. What's been given to you? What have you been given access to? What has God allowed you to have that you still sometimes wonder, what would it be like if I could have, touch, or indulge in this that I've been told I can't have? Let's not play around with that. Let's look at Eve as a clear example and follow through with being obedient. Eve, unfortunately, was off her guard that day. And that's how Satan works. Sometimes he will find us at our weakest point. Sometimes he will find us in our mindset of curiosity. He wants to see, it's a reason why he's crafty. See, Satan is always looking for whom he can destroy, corrupt. And that's why we have to be on guard. But not just on guard and just focused, but we have to indeed rely on the helmet of salvation. We have to have our sword of the Spirit ready. We have to have our breastplate of righteousness. We have to have our shield of faith. We have to have that belt of truth, our feet that's planted and ready in the gospel. We have to show up equipped. I wonder how fascinating this story would have been if Eve was equipped. Maybe not. Maybe you say, Nathaniel, whole armor of God equipped? But maybe just equipped with the truth. The truth is that my God, my Father, my instructions, my authority told me I cannot have this. This is not up for debate. This is a non-negotiable. Right then and there, Eve should have said, Satan, get thee behind me. But maybe she didn't have the words. Maybe her eyes were fixated on that temptation. Don't allow temptation to get you off focus. Don't allow it. Even after this detox journey is over, you will probably be tempted by all of the things that you weren't able to do and all the things that you know that you shouldn't do. But let's let Eve show us what happens when we do not follow instructions. But there is a but. After all of this was over, they may have been afraid, but they weren't naked. God shows up in the garden and he starts calling for them. Listen to me, man. He starts calling for them. Adam, Eve, where are you? Here they were afraid. And God being God, he knew where they were, but they were hiding in their shame. How many times has God called your name when you were in shame? But even as they came out to where God was, right then he had to find his own creation and kill animals to cover them. And that's how they exited the Garden of Eden. Guys, let's not make things harder on us than we have to. Let's keep our hearts focused on what God has already instructed us. Don't allow Satan to fool you or tempt you in well-doing.